So who would have thought a 23-year-old and a 53-year-old would be friends?
Are you talking about us? Can we count as friends now? We only just met a few weeks ago.
Friends, podcast co-hosts. We're one step off being like, I suppose if we were on Love Island, we would be engaged and married right now with Instagram deals. Very intense friendship.
Probably. And what did you call me this week? You called me, you'd had a dream about me.
I had a dream that Angie was at my wedding and my husband was doing a speech and Angie got a mention. And then Angie heckled from her seat at my wedding, and that you were called my brown fairy godmother. But that is your own title. That's you called yourself that.
Did I?
Yeah, you once text me saying when I was having a dalliance with someone at work, but nothing came of it. It was just flirtation. But Angie was like, "And I'll be your brown fairy godmother," and it clearly leaked into my dream.
So, friends, podcast host, and a brown fairy godmother.
I personally call myself Angie's little blonde chihuahua. I'm like a little handbag dog. I just follow her around.
That's not true. That's really not true. Friends, podcast hosts, brown fairy godmother,
Blonde chihuahua.
blonde chihuahua. Welcome to our podcast.
Too young for this and too old for that.
I'm Angie. I'm a 53-year-old osteopath.
And I'm Annie Lewis, a 23-year-old actor just starting out.
And we're here to share stories, experiences, love, laughs and tears across the age gap.
And today we're talking about the roles we play in friendship across the ages, how friendship changes and evolves and what we've learned from different friendships and what it's like when a friendship ends and a friendship starts.
And what it's like to be friends with such a big difference. And we're quite new friends, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like we only met in August this year and we're recording on the 6th of November today. What role do you play in our friendship?
It's a really interesting one. Thing is, I'd say I bring the youth, but I don't think that's right at all, because Angie, if you've been following our previous episodes, is the raver, the partier, and the free spirit when it comes to going out. But I think... Oh, what do you think, actually? You go first, because I think you've posed the question.
What do I
Yeah.
What do I bring?
I think you bring a lot of wisdom, guidance, mentorship, but also I think I find you, and you're going to hate me saying this, like quite inspirational, but you're going to cringe at that. Yeah.
Cringing.
No, but I
Cringing.
do.
Okay. And I find you bubbly, exciting and young. And that young energy, I find it just so contagious and so lovely to be around. And to be honest, I'm flattered that you would consider me your friend.
I'm like honoured to be your friend though. I love it though. I think when I met Angie, like, you've brought into my life like so many, not only opportunities, people, connections, but you've given me a lot of confidence to go for things. Like I wouldn't have just started a podcast with anyone. And you've let me, I don't know, I've really absorbed from you just an ability to just go for it. And I'm a lot more fearless after I've met you. That is a definite shift I've noticed. And it's brought out a really nice quality in me, which I do credit to you.
Thank you.
That's okay.
And I should say, on a similar note, even though we're a little off tangent, is that what this podcast and starting it has done is made me much more spontaneous.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot before I do things, and I worry a lot, and I like a plan, and I've got a notebook for everything.
Yeah.
And with this podcast, we sort of just fucking did it.
Well, you said to me, I was like, yeah, like even if we do it in a year, 9 months, and you were like, no, let's just do it.
So our combination is a great one.
Yeah.
But so then the question arises, how long does it take to build a friendship?
Yeah. Are you more of a slow burn, or are you someone who forms connections quite instantly? I think for me personally, I actually think I'm very big on gut instinct, actually. And if I like someone from the minute I've met them and my gut is like, you're a good egg, I'm very into like auras and energies. You wouldn't think I'm in high neck tartan right now. It doesn't really go with my vibe at all, but I am. I am quite into like, if my gut likes a person, I do tend to really trust that. And then if a friendship, like a deep friendship builds quite quickly, I'm very open to that actually. Because I think that's worth a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I think the same. In my new life now as a yoga person, osteopath and general do-gooder, I am much more aware of people's energies. And in the last couple of years, it's been really interesting that, like you, i.e., you arriving in my life, some amazing people have arrived and deep friendships have built really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think whereas perhaps in the past I might have been a bit more suspicious, not suspicious, that's the wrong word, but friendships might have, but yeah, that's better. Hesitant. Now I'm more likely to just sort of jump in feet first. I mean, obviously there's a question there then if a friendship breaks up, but we'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We better not break up.
Oh my God, no. What do our followers think? The scandals? Forget the followers. I'd be heartbroken. No, Angie, I'm big on dreams. You're at my wedding. It's fine.
Is we're okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're in my wedding speech from my husband.
But what's interesting is that on somewhere at the back of the room.
No. No, sorry, it's not to get off on a tangent, but I'm in a whole marquee and we're all on circular tables, so I'm quite big on even, and it's a small intimate wedding, 60 people max.
Okay.
So it's an honor.
We're gonna have to work out who the husband is.
I know.
Okay. So, how many friends have you got? A lot of friends. Are you a collector? I heard this word the other day about friendship. A curator of friends.
Yeah.
A collector. Are you a?
I wouldn't say I have, and I think it's okay to say like a lot of friends. I think I have lots of people I'm friendly with, but I actually was speaking about this when I was out for drinks with two friends this week. I think I've got a very tight circle, and from friends from different worlds. So like, acting friends, school friends, etc. And that I've got a lot of deep friendships with 5 or 6, 7 very, very close friendships. And then you've got your wider circle of people who you see at social occasions. And then you've got people you're friendly with, which if you bump into the street, you're like, hey. And I think that's okay. I'm very much someone who'd rather have fewer people, but have a deep connection with and be like ride or die with. And that doesn't necessarily mean I talk to you every single day and tell you what I'm having for lunch, though sometimes I do that with you. But like people who, if it all hits the pan, you can ring up and be like, hi, this has gone down. Yeah, I think that matters to me quite a lot, actually.
And have they come from school? Have they come from growing up before, like early school days?
Different walks of life. I've got actually like 3 or 4 friends from school, which like sixth form, which I really hold dear. And I see them a lot. Like one of my best friends in the world, Emma, like I know she'll be listening. Like she's from school. Like
Heather.
Yeah, like Benji, Fergus. Like I think about the ex, and there are more. If I haven't mentioned you, I still love you. Shouldn't have got into it. And then I've got drama school friends, and that's like a whole different stream of friendships. And actually, what's lovely about that is they know some of my school friends, and then they're kind of my deepest friendships because they're people who I've seen every single day of my life. So, and at this point in my life, that makes the most logical sense to have friends from that. So yeah, they're like deep friendships. I don't necessarily see them all the time. I'm quite big on having like, you need to invest energy into your friendship, but I don't think you need to always be in each other's pockets. I think that's also like, it's unhealthy to like always be like, I need this from you. I think it's like showing up when matters is the most important thing.
Okay.
What about you, Angie? Like, what's your circle of friends like?
So I've got friends from school.
Yeah.
Not many, actually. It was a long, long time ago. Friends from university. Again, not many. Friends from old work. Friends from new work. Friends from yoga teaching. And lots of mum friends. So taking the kids to school, from primary school, from secondary school.
Because I think that's a whole different thing, mum friends.
Yeah. And mum friends is a really special friendship, actually, because you go through some pretty hairy times, let's be honest, kids. And those friendships have been some of the deepest in my world, I suppose. There's something called the NCT. There's a National Childbirth Trust, I think. And when you're pregnant, you can sign up and they put you in a group of 8 or 10 other couples who are about to have a baby. And they tell you about what happens at hospital and all that sort of stuff. But you get put in this little random group of people, and there were 8 of us. And then you go through, each of you like drops off one at a time, pops out one at a time. And then within a couple of months, you go from being 16 people to 24. Yes, trying to do my maths properly. 24 people, and you're all off on maternity leave at the same time. And there were 8 of us girls, and we just had a ball. We saw each other twice a week for the 6 months that we were all off. We laughed, we cried, we leaked, we picked up sick, we wiped bottoms. But we used to there were a few months where we'd see each other twice a week for like a whole afternoon, twice a week, and we'd just sit around in our flobby stuff and compare notes. And those friendships have been really, really deep. And in fact, we still pretty much go out for dinner every month.
I think that's really special.
And that's 20 years.
Yeah, that's amazing though, because you're supporting.
Shout out to the NCT girls. I hope you're listening.
I think it's lovely though. It's very comforting. And I think especially going through that pivotal change of entering into motherhood, to have a support network, that's so valuable, because it can be something that some people find that transition beautiful, but really hard as well.
Yeah. And it's all really about the connection. And then since then, in the last few years, moving into this sort of world of working and being out and presenting and things like that, met some really interesting people. And I think for me, I love a deep friendship.
Yeah, I agree.
I really love a deep friendship. I like having people that I feel a real connection with.
I agree.
And that I feel, this is the needy me, I think, that they love me as much as I love them.
Yeah. No, but I agree. It should be two ways.
Should it though? Because that causes me problems sometimes.
I think it's a bit like it is a relationship. In a relationship, sometimes one person, and this is my theory, might be going through it more than the other. So you've got to give more to your partner or your spouse or whatever. And then sometimes you might require more.
Yeah.
I think the friendship can go both, can swing it that way as well. Like, you're talking about how you've met different friends through your life. It made me think of like my really deep friendships I made when I went to China. Like I see, like we went through the most special time together. Again, I know they're listening because they're so supportive. Such deep friendships there, and they are so amazing at showing up when I need them.
So that shared experience, bonds you
together. A bit like it's very different, obviously, but your motherhood journey, a shared experience ties you together. What's your thoughts then on friendship swinging like two ways?
Oh, you see, so it's interesting that we pick this. You've asked that question because I think that like I said, I find that sometimes I want more from some of my friends than they have time for. And I have found myself in the last few years being more of a curator.
Okay, interesting.
I'm definitely a collector. Yeah. I might meet a new good friend every couple of weeks. So that's great. None as lovely as you.
Big up.
She's so with the kids. But in the last period or whatever, I found myself curating more actually. Because I don't know, you might know already that I'm a very emotional person. Like I'm heart-led.
Yeah. Right? But you're also very pragmatic at the same time.
Yeah.
You're an interesting combination. Like you're very, I think you're very like a planner, but you're still led by your heart. It's quite an interesting combination in that way.
The bolshy outside and the soft inside. So we're all like this mix anyway. And so I've been thinking to myself, there are some people who I love hanging out with, and yet they're not always around. And so I have to temper my, like, you said the chihuahua, the play with me.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to do that and accepting, actually. It's about acceptance that, people come and go as friends. And there might be periods where, I suppose, like a relationship, I mean, friends are relationships. There are periods where it's hot and there are periods where it has a cooling off, and then, it comes and goes.
And life is busy. Like life can be intense.
Yeah.
It's funny you mention that, because I truly believe in this theory that my mum and dad always say this, that friendships sometimes come into your life for a season and a reason. And sometimes that's your whole life. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole season of life. And sometimes it might just be a winter or a spring.
I love that, season or a reason.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean every friendship's just for a spring, but sometimes it might be. And that's okay. Like sometimes when a friendship ends, it can be really heartbreaking. But you can look back and go, actually, we were friends for this period of life because you brought out this quality in me, or you led me to this situation and I learnt this, or I met this person, or I did this, and that brought out something in you and me. And I think that's a really nice way to have like closure on something.
Yeah.
And very healthy. That's what
I really, really love that, and it chimes so well. So thank you, Annie's mum and dad, for that season or a reason. Chimes with some of you might know I follow a monk, and she would say that of the one of the Hindu traditions, and she would say that it's sort of your destiny. And your time with that person, like someone might come into your life for a reason, but they'll also leave when the time is up, when your work together is done effectively. Fate will take you away from each other, and how you deal with that sort of pain, if you like, of the separation.
Yeah.
Is actually to accept that this maybe is, if you've done all your best to keep that friend, to phone them, to invite them, whatever, there are times when people come and go, and accepting that when it comes to friendships probably saves a lot of pain.
Yeah, and I think it brings you a lot of peace.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can avoid those feelings, but I think it helps with a lot of peace and closure. And I like that mindset. So let's talk about friendship across the age gap, something me and you can definitely relate to. So Angie, you've talked a lot about how you've had older friends in the past. But am I your first 23-year-old totty?
Yes. Yes, Annie. First and only. It's interesting. So everyone will know I've got two sons. They're 21 and 17, nearly 18. And I'm really, really honoured that quite often my house is the one where everyone comes and hangs out when the older ones anyway come back from uni, all of his friends. And they've been coming to my house for, over a decade now. So I know them. And
oh, come on, Angie, say it. You're not a regular mom. You're a cool mom. No. Do you know my reference?
I didn't know.
Me in Mean Girls, she goes, I'm not a regular mom. I'm the cool mom.
I've never seen that. I don't know what that is.
I'm going to show you the meme after.
Okay, all right, yeah. So anyway, I think it's because I cook. So there's always food. There's always food.
Yeah.
And I always give 20 quid to go and buy beers or whatever. But anyway.
Cool mum.
Cool. Is that cool, mum?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I get to hang out with some young people. So that's cool. But I wouldn't say that any of us are friends.
It's a different dynamic though, isn't it?
Yeah. Roshan's mum. And so you're my first 23-year-old friend, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And it sort of comes into the too young for this, too old for that moment, because I've been really lucky that I met my first older friend when I was 19 and I was working in Switzerland. I'd failed my A-level, well, not failed my A-levels, I had to retake my A-levels. And so I was working where my dad was working at CERN, at the nuclear thing where they do the split the particles. And I was working in the office, and I got friendly with a lady called Louisa, who was probably 50 at that time, and I was 19. And somehow we just, again, fell in love. And she was this bonkers Italian with back-combed hair, and she had a Porsche and two German Shepherds and lots of jangly jewellery. And yet she and I just bonded over a love of food, a love of laughing, a love of anything. And she was my first older friend. And since then, I've been really lucky to have a succession of amazing women who are older than me who've, I feel, chosen to be friends with me.
That's exactly like that's not, you being 19 isn't, first of all, I didn't know that story, but that's not far off of like my age and being friends a little bit with you. Like we've almost like replicated that, but on the other side.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it makes me feel a bit old, but also it's great that it's happening that way, the other way round.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've been really lucky in the other friendships. So this is Annie going to have to give me some counselling now. I've always felt that there hasn't been, even though I've been with these amazing older women, that they've never really looked down. They've never looked down on me, but it's been a friendship of different equals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I do, even though I like look up to you and really respect and admire you, I don't ever feel like it's an imbalanced friendship. Do you know what I mean? Even though you're older, I never feel like you look down on me or anything like that I always feel like there's a mutual respect. So it's interesting you also feel that with your older friends as well.
And also, I'd say, so it's always been a little bit of a question for me that you just think I'm some sad old woman. Oh, no, I think your crew wants to hang out with you, right? Because
Oh my god, no! I think the opposite. I'm like, do you think I'm this really lame, like granny 23-year-old who just is like, what am I? I think the opposite. Do you think what am I doing? Like, do you know what I mean? No, I don't. I think you're cool.
I've tried not to think too much about it, to be honest, because it feels as if it just works, and so
Yeah,
therefore, why pick at it?
Yeah, I think we just vibe. And also, I say this,
Just vibe.
but no, but
If you just said that.
well, my parents, well, my parents, because they think our friendship is great because my parents grew up with have a lot of like multi-generational friends. When my dad was working in office, a lot of his friends were older. My mum was the same.
Mm.
And I think actually, when you're working in an office, like a corporate environment, a lot of like my friends who do that, their friends are older anyway, because
Yeah.
you're going to the pub after work and you're taking guidance off, like my sister, a lot of her friends at work are older. I think it's really accepted and normal. But when you're self-employed and we make like a work friend or a friend via our work or something like that, or we start a project like we're doing together with someone who's older, we're like, oh, is that weird? And it's like, well, you wouldn't think that if you were working at
No, exactly.
an accountancy firm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd organically have older friends because you're working together.
Exactly. So okay, listeners, you're going to have to brace yourself for this answer now. Do you have other older friends behind my back?
Am I cheating on you?
Oh, you're behind my back. Who are you hanging at?
No, not to your level. Not to our level. No, genuine. It's not like that, Angie. No, not to our level. Not in the way that we are. I think there's like, like at one of the schools I work at, I always love chatting with the receptionists who are older than me. Shout out. But that's in a work environment. And then I've got, people who are older in my life who I'm very close with. But but not to our level. I think it's like, there's like my mum's friends who I see and I'm really like, warm and close with, but that's different. Not in our level where it's just formed in its own right. But it's interesting that my mum, she had our next door neighbor, Penny. She befriended her when my mum first had me. And she's, 20, 30 years older than my mum. And they formed a really deep friendship.
So this is Granny Penny.
Yeah, and then she, when growing up,
She's not your granny.
she's not my granny biologically, but she then growing up became my granny figure.
Yeah.
And so I call her Granny Penny.
Yeah.
To my mum, she's just a really close friend.
Okay.
She became my kind of surrogate granny figure.
Mm.
So my family, like having multi-generational friends is like very just the norm. They have, my dad and mum are really good friends with Brian. He's well into his 80s. Like, it's very normal, accepted and really welcomed.
Yeah.
It's just very normal. I've just grown up with that being very normal and really nice.
And so with that, family question is arising in my mind.
Yeah.
What do your mum and dad think about our friendship?
Oh, they love it.
They think it's odd?
No, because my parents are self-employed. They have a lot of multi-generational friends, and they're big on I've grown up in a family who have always gone surround yourself with the most impressive people. And again, Angie, you're going to hate me saying this, but like they think you're really impressive, and they love what we're doing together, and it's just very normal for them. Like that's what they would.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, when they were 23, they still do have these older friends. That's very normal in my family.
Listeners, I'm going to meet Annie's mum after.
I know, and I'm meeting
post some photos.
And I'm meeting Angie's
big
21-year-old big son.
We're having a multi-generational family lunch.
We're going to try.
Which we might share some photos.
So I was rewatching the other day When Harry Met Sally, and the premise of the movie is I don't think men and women can be friends. One of them always wants to sleep with each other. It doesn't work. I mean, this was like in the 80s or 90s, and so probably wouldn't get aired today, but I think it's a great rom-com. Anyway, do we think that's true?
That movie's probably from before you were born, right?
Oh yeah, 100% is.
Yeah. Can men and women be friends? I think the answer is probably yes, but a little qualification. Have you got any men friends?
Yes, quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
I think yes.
Do they have the same quality of friendship?
Yeah,
as your female friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my deepest friends, not a lot, like I have a lot of male friends who I have very deep friendships with. I saw two of them this week, Sean and Dan. Like I have, Benji, Ferg. List goes on. A lot of deep friendships with them. Been through a lot, and I really value them.
And to be brutally nosy,
Yeah.
do you think any of them fancy you?
No.
If we leave this bit in the podcast, we're going to need everyone's comments. She's blushing.
But no.
Really?
No. I think it's just no. I really,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's no. I think that's why I also have been friends with them for so long, because it's like it really is just a friendship. What about you? And your what's your thoughts?
So I went to a very male university. So I went to Brunel University, and it was something like the opposite of Nottingham, right? We talked about Nottingham.
Yeah.
last week. Nottingham has always had this, hasn't it, reputation for being full of women.
And the lads love it.
And the lads go there because there are lots of women. Brunel was the opposite. Back in the day, there were 4 or 5 blokes to every woman or something. It felt like that.
My God.
So a lot of my friends from that time were men.
Did they fancy
boys.
you, Angie?
Quite possibly. But I think my sense is that after a while, if nothing is going to happen, then you move on to a different phase of friendship.
They become either like a friend or a brother or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 of those people are still really good friends of mine, even though one of them lives abroad. But, we've kept in touch, and that's been really interesting. And one in particular, DJ, he basically became my surrogate. I mean, he was a couple of years younger than me, but he was like my brother. And I'd say that probably he was, and my brother lives in America now, so I don't see him that often. And we're also 8 years apart. So it's interesting. I think 8 years apart is more awkward than 30 years apart somehow. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. We're going to tag so many people in this episode.
Yeah, so many.
So DJ and I, he was a year below me, and we just laughed. We laughed and laughed and laughed together. We just had so much fun. And then I got married, and DJ got married to different people. And they, Danny and Mark, sort of, I think, looked at our relationship, DJ and I's relationship, as like, it's weird. We're not part of it. They weren't friends. We'll just leave them to it. And then we grew up, we had kids. I'm a godmother to DJ's kids. DJ used to come over when they didn't live in London. But when he was in London, come over and have dinner. So he watched my kids grow up. And I'd say that he was like a brother. So, when you're in the car or you're going somewhere and something, was up, and we'd call each other, and then probably 2 or 3 times a year we'd meet up in London, and we'd go for lunch, and it might end up in dinner or drinks or whatever, and we would just laugh. We'd also put the world to rights, deal with our children's issues, deal with everything, politics. And somehow there was this unlikely friendship of a lad from Yorkshire and this sort of semi well-spoken brown girl from Oxford. So I think you can be friends.
Yeah.
Again, maybe there's something in the air when that friendship happens.
It's like but I'm very into it's like a universe thing. I think sometimes just energies just work together. And I think it's like, we can't be too close-minded on it. We can't be like, oh, you're a man, so you're going to fancy me, and then you're not going to have that beautiful friendship, or like you're 30 years older than me and you're not going to have that lovely friendship. I think if you open your eyes and mind up, you can then have some amazing connections and really deep friendships, like you said.
And I think it's probably become more acceptable, hasn't it? For a man and a woman to be friends.
Yeah, my mum, we were talking about in the train up, she said that, my granddad would have been like, oh no, you men and women can't be friends. It was from a different generation. So I think it has changed a bit more. And like you said, once you're past that threshold of like, nothing's gonna happen, but it's great.
And also, going back to the age difference as well, my mum, hi mum, has a friend who's about the same age, younger even than my brother, and her and Kieran have this beautiful friendship. They laugh, that I can't remember where they met, but they must be 50, they're probably 50 years difference or 40 years difference in age. And yet her and Kieran, he's a he, they just have such a laugh. And he often comes and spends a few days with my mum and dad. He's married, but he comes and spends a few days with my mum and dad every now and then. And they laugh and they eat and they talk and they chat and they put the world to rights. And I think it's that beautiful, also again, actually now we're mixing the generations. I think it's a really lovely thing to have wisdom from one side, but also youth and vitality from the other.
I completely agree. I think it's something that, especially in an age where, you know, I think forming really genuine connections can actually really be harder. Like, we're living in the social media age, but sometimes I think that can be a block for us. And, you know, we all work from home and we can just end up not meeting people, actually. So I think having those really deep friendships, and like you said, you've put it perfectly, learning from each other and taking from each other really great things, is just a wonderful way to have a friendship. And it's lovely. Like,
Because on the social media age, how many friends have you got online?
oh God, it's like, I'm
Like thousands.
well, like, of course, every account, sure, yeah. And like,
Does that make you feel better? Like somehow, is it a positive thing? Is it a
on my personal account, not particularly, because I use social media a lot for work, like this podcast, or I do some work with businesses for social media. So I care about numbers there because it's like a business thing. But personally, no, I wouldn't care if I have 50 followers or 900. I care more about people WhatsApping me. Like, I always say, like, if we're really friends, you've got my WhatsApp.
Yeah, okay. So the social media side is not a measure of friendship.
Not for me, no. No. I view social media as a tool for like growing like businesses and things like that. And I think it's a lot for me, as someone who's grown up in the social media age. I think it's a really healthier way to look at it. I turn it off at 5 o'clock. I still check my WhatsApp, sure. But I won't go, unless it's exceptional, I will really try not to go on social media bar like 5, 6 o'clock.
Do you still have Facebook? Do you have Facebook?
I do, because weirdly enough, my Mount View, this is my one exception, my Mount View friends, we all are on a group chat together on Facebook Messenger. So that's slightly different, but that's like for an extraordinary group chat where we all had to meet each other, and it was formed 4 years ago. So that's different. That's like a very special group chat that I'll never get rid of, because that's my Mount View guys.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. I always think sometimes thinking about something like Facebook, when people ask to be my friend, sometimes I think you're not really my friend, so I don't want to let you into that inner circle. So there are, even with social media, there are layers, aren't there?
I think so, yeah. I think it's okay to, like, when I went into acting and left drama school, I actually set up a totally different acting account. Just so that, like, if I met someone on set who I'm like, you know, met the lighting guy who's really nice, and it's like, I definitely want to follow you, but like, you know, me and him don't need to see each other. Like, when I was 6, you know what I mean? A lot of them do the same. Like, they have a professional account and a personal account, and I think that's totally fine to separate the two. So yeah.
Okay, so Annie, this is not going to happen to us.
Oh my gosh, I know what we're going on to.
But what happens when we break up with a friend? Have you ever?
Yeah, I think it's really sad. I really, like I said, I try and go with the mantra season and reason, but it doesn't mean it's not sad. I've never had like a formal breakup with a friend where it's been like, we are formally, I am not going to be your friend anymore. It's usually like an unspoken or a drift. I think that's the most normal, common way I've encountered it, is that you drift and go off into different life paths. And it's sad. I think it's sad but I really do try and hold on to you. We were in each other's lives for a reason and a period of time. We probably learnt a lot from each other, and I try and get closure on that. And I also try and leave things on a term, even if we have drifted, that if we bumped into each other on the street, I like to always think it wouldn't be weird if we did say hello. I don't think I've ever had a friendship breakdown where it's been that drastic that if I saw you in the street, I'd hide in Space NK.
So, Annie, one thing I wanted to ask you about. So I've got 2 sons, as you know, but I do come into contact with my friends who have daughters, my niece, my son's friends who are girls. And it strikes me that girls being friends together is a lot harder than boys being friends together. It's just to be a lot more falling out.
So so this is my stance on this. When I was younger, yes, like I went to an all-girls junior school and then I went to a co-ed senior school. I think, and I teach at I obviously teach a lot of kids as well. And from even my own teaching experience, I'd say yes, girl friendships are way more complicated. I see kids like fall out in an hour class and then they're friends again by the end. I think as I've got older, for me, because I have male and female friends and a lot of them overlap, I don't really tend to fall out as much, but I do think female friendships, bear in mind I've got two sisters, are far more like a female friendship is tend to be more complicated and nuanced. The fallings out can be a bit more layered and complex. This is obviously a very sweeping
The
generalization.
impression I get is that there's a lot of bitchiness and a lot of cliqueiness, and is that just the West London?
I think not from where I'm at in life now. No, I tend to try and avoid a lot of like bitchiness and cliqueiness. I'm just, I don't think I want that space, and I don't try and make space for bitchiness and cliqueiness in my life. But when I was younger, yeah, especially when I was a teenager.
What advice would you give if you were looking down one more generation? Would you give any advice to?
I think it's hard in the social media age. It's probably because when you're a teenager, you'll probably say things on text and you'll make mistakes. I mean, my God, I don't envy that at all. I only just had that introduced when I was a teen. But I would try, and I think it's a more mature mindset. What I have now is it's not worth the space in your life. And actually, we can all fall into the trap of having a little bitch and a gossip every now and again. But it's really not worth anyone's energy. And I think if I was talking to any of like a teenager, because that tends to be where it mostly comes from, it's like if you're 9 times out of 10, if you're not going to say it to your friend's face, don't say it to them. I think you can absolutely diplomatically have a conversation with a friend where you're like, I don't think this is serving you, or blah blah blah, or like I think that's sometimes what being a friend is raising, being like, are you okay? Do you need to? That's okay.
Yeah.
We don't. And so, but if you're not going to say it to their face, look, we're not all perfect, but try not to say it behind their back. That would be, I think, a good, healthy way to try and approach life. But obviously, we're all human. You're not going to get it right all the time. So don't beat yourself up if you do.
That's a good, that's our do your best, forget the rest. There we are. But it's interesting, I think, when, if I was talking to people still at school, young people still at school, I watched that sort of, even in the boys, right? An energy being dissipated through friendships that aren't working.
Yeah.
There's so much
Layers.
energy and emotion gets, not wasted, but gets expended.
Yeah.
In that environment, and it can hurt. So how just season and reason might not be a bad thing to learn early on.
Your tribe reflects your vibe.
Okay.
I try and keep people around me who feed my soul, and hopefully I feed their soul back. And it reflects your vibe. You feel good about yourself, or you learn from them, or they're there to hold a mirror up to your actions. What do you think it's like for boy friendships then? How's it like parenting two sons when it comes to their friendships?
I think they're quite, from what I can see, I think they're more straightforward.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
More straightforward. Boys are like Labradors, right? As long as they've got a ball and the food bowl is always full, and they've got a mate to bound around with, they're all right. And I think I've got sporty boys. So I think playing a team sport or being in the sports sort of environment helps you make friends quite quickly.
No, totally.
I've been impressed by the depth of male on male friendships.
It's getting better, I think.
Yeah, that actually they have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And there's real love there.
And it's
between the boys, which is really nice.
And I think it's really good. I always think it's good when men can talk to each other, like men and men can talk to each other. I think it's really, we shouldn't undervalue the importance of men like opening up and speaking to their male friends.
Yeah.
I think that's a conversation I'm very passionate about. And I think, boys, open up and speak to each other. I am that wacky drama teacher who's like, talk to each other, express your feelings. So moving on to a slightly more serious topic, when a friend dies. So, Angie, I know this is something you've experienced. What does grief look like when it's a friend and not a partner or a family member? Or what was your experience like when you lost a friend?
So I mentioned earlier my friend DJ, Duncan James. He actually passed away a couple of years ago. He was only 49. and he died really quickly after, sort of diagnosed in January and died on the 4th of March. So really quick. And he hadn't been ill or anything. So it was the shock, and all of that. And obviously, really difficult for his family and my godchildren and his wife. But it's been really, for me as his friend, and I was really honoured that I was invited to give the eulogy. So it was quite interesting that, again, the lad from Yorkshire, and all of a sudden at the front of the church pops up Angie, Brown London Angie, to give the eulogy. We really were best friends, I think. It's really sad. I miss him. I still miss him every day. And it's interesting that, you think that maybe, I think I'd thought that that level of grief would only be for a family member. But actually, I felt a level of grief for him going. It doesn't, he was my family. Yeah, I think maybe after we met 30 years ago, maybe that transcends a friend into the realms of family. So I've been as sad at his death as I would have been, I think, for anyone that I'm close to. And I miss him. And I miss the silliness, and I miss the times that we could have had that we don't have anymore. And when I get in the car, quite often I think about, I'm just going to phone Deej, and then there's no Deej. And every now and then me and the lads will go and have a drink in his honour, because we always used to drink at Cafe Bohème in Soho. We used to sit and have a beer and, chat and let the world go by. It's been really, really hard. I think what it has taught me is to really enjoy your friends, right? And if they're people that matter to you, and you said earlier on actually that life is busy, it is busy, but if they're people there that you really care about and you haven't connected with for a while, I really urge everybody to reach out, to rekindle those important friendships. Who knows, they might be cousins, they might be friends, whoever it is. Life is short.
Yeah.
We're not in control. And go and, make those magical experiences and have those times with people that love you. Because actually we spend a lot of time with people that don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's really special when someone cares enough about you to want you to invite them into your family and your tribe, a circle. And life's busy, but at the end of the day, it's so easy to just go, I'll just cancel that drink with that mate.
Yeah.
Because I've got to finish some work. But actually, if we've not got our mates and the people we love around us, what's it all for?
And I think for me that comes back to then, what is a friend?
Yeah.
I normally would have gone to the dictionary actually and read out the definition, but I think the friend is someone with whom you can be exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, that's the difference between a friend and an acquaintance, isn't it? But someone you don't have to put on who you are or be any different. And I know that with DJ I didn't have to be. And actually even with, I don't mean it like that, but even with you, we've shared stuff, deep stuff quite quickly. And I think that probably is for me the measure of true friendship. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think it's accepting your friend for as who they are, as they are. And there's kind of, you accept them for all their flaws and all their greatness at the same time. And I think we can maybe let friends slip in the tier. We have our family, our relationship, and then we let friends take that third place. But in my mind, I really think, especially as I've got older, and that you should all kind of be a little bit on an equal par. Your friends, your family, and your relationships, they should all operate in a symbiotic fashion.
Sounds very serious, but I think you're exactly right. I think the levels blend, and it's the people that you have the deep connection with.
And people can become chosen family, and that's really special.
Chosen family. Learned another term today. All right, Annie, so what has made you feel either too old or too young this week?
Something that I think, I'm going to flip it on its head a bit, you are not too young for, is I took my niece trick-or-treating on Friday night.
Oh.
And it's weird because just linking it back to friendship, I went with my sister and her husband, and we were invited by her childhood best friend, Simon.
Okay.
And the whole family put on a big Halloween extravaganza for the kids to go trick-or-treating in. We took them around a neighbourhood I always used to go trick-or-treating in. And it was like a really full circle, beautiful moment. I mean, my sister were like, this is so nostalgic, but also so lovely. And it showed also to me the powerful depth of their friendship, which I thought was really lovely to see.
Yeah.
Like my sister's had a child, life's changed a lot recently. And yet her friend, Simon, who lives in America, still like got to take her kid trick-or-treating. It was just really special and beautiful.
So did you feel too old or too young?
But basically, it made me realize you're never too old to still hold on to those beautiful friendships. But I also still felt too old trick-or-treating when I got heckled by some teenagers. And they were like, trick-or-treating. And I was like, how dare you heckle my niece? So I kind of felt too old there. I did feel like a Karen. But it was a beautiful night and shows the power of friendship over time. What did you feel too old or too young for this week?
Well, the main one is this morning. I forgot my reading glasses at home, and so I felt very old because I couldn't read what we were going to talk about today on the train. I had to use my phone and make the like baggy pop through the camera so I could read, and then I had to go and buy some reading glasses.
You bought?
Yeah,
They're quite nice. They're not bad, actually.
so I felt very old because I can't actually read.
Right.
Okay,
Angie, what have you learned today from our episode? What's a moment of reflection? Do you want me to go first?
yeah, go.
So, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I think something I've really taken away is that friendship is a really beautiful thing. And although we can have friends for seasons, reasons, and for life, we should put effort into our friendship and we should cherish those friends. And I think the biggest thing I've learned from you is that enjoy your friends and enjoy the now and put that effort in. It's a really special thing to have a friend who loves you and cares about you. And we should hold on to that more and put that value higher in our life.
And I think I've really formalised in my head that a friend is someone with whom you can be who you really are. Open, honest, and just, you can breathe in their presence. And then the other thing is that, you know what? Seasons and reasons, friendships come and go. So don't hold on to things that have passed their time.
Yeah.
So what better thing can you do with your friends than share a glass of Wilfred's?
I agree. A non-alcoholic aperitif founded by Chris Hughes. Wilfred's is 0.0%, no alcohol. So a great way to catch up with a friend sober.
And what's your favourite mixer with a Wilfred's?
Interesting you say this, Angie, because I actually love a Wilfred's and a ginger ale.
Okay, I'm going to try that.
I
I'm very
recommend.
boring with tonic water only so far.
Oh no, go for a ginger ale. Thanks so much to Wilfred's for sponsoring this episode of Too Young for This.
Too old for that.
Please follow us on Instagram at tooyoung.tooOld.
And on our website, tooyoung2old.com. Follow wherever you get your podcast, download, subscribe on our website. You can, with the amazing Speak Pipe, press a button and send us a voice message. We'd love to hear from you. We want to know what you want us to talk about next. Thanks, Annie.
And big shout out, because we've not mentioned him yet, to Mike Roberts at Making Digital Real, our wonderful editor.
Yes, thanks, Mike.
For putting up with us.
Yes, it's quite hard work.
Bye. Bye.